Hello and welcome to episode 4 of WWE 2002 in review. This episode is going to be focusing on Backlash and April in 2002. And I haven't even thought about this yet, but I should really talk about the draft. So I'm going to try and Wikipedia that pretty quickly while I'm doing this. April, WWE 2002. Coming off WrestleMania, as I just said, the draft took place. This was the draft, or the brand extension, that the WWE decided to split the WWE, or WWF at the time, into two kind of brands. I mean, they already had Raw and SmackDown, but now they're going to have Raw and SmackDown be their own entities with their own superstars. Kind of similar to what they tried to do in 2001. They tried to actually have WCW run independent of itself, but that never really worked. I think it was a good idea to kind of give more of the younger and newer talent a platform, because now you just maximize the amount of TV time people can have by 2, basically, because you have all the Raw superstars and you have all the SmackDown superstars. Now you can't have all the big names on 1 or 2, so you have to, you can't have all the big names on 1, so you have to they had to kind of split them out and then bring up, other guys, maybe guys from developmental and so on. I think these days, it's been going on for like nearly 10 years now. Recently they've kind of, laxed down on it a bit. It's not really that prevalent. I mean, we still have Raw, we still have SmackDown, but, they've got this thing now where Raw is the Raw Super Show and anyone can come on, which is okay. But I always thought that, the brand extension really kind of set SmackDown apart as the wrestling show, and Raw apart as the entertainment show. A lot more promos. You open the show with like 20-minute segments, and SmackDown is always more wrestling heavy, and it's been like that ever since they started the brand extension. So what they did was Raw was given to Ric Flair, SmackDown to Vince, and they had a night on Raw where it was like the brand extension, and they get to have picks. And I guess this is similar to some other sports in the US. I know I've heard somewhere, it was similar to that or something, but I've literally got no concept, no idea of any sports in America. So anyway, I've heard like NFL draft, or is it something like that? I don't know. Anyway, so the first pick, number 1, was The Rock for SmackDown. The number 1 for Raw was The Undertaker, and then we got like Kurt Angle to SmackDown. The NWO as a threesome to Raw, Benoit to SmackDown, Kane to Raw, Hogan to SmackDown. Hogan did now, of course, separated from the NWO, and he was still being called Hollywood Hulk Hogan, but he come back with the yellow, the red and yellow attire, and we'll get to that obviously quite soon. Rob Van Dam to Raw, Billy and Chuck to SmackDown, Booker T to Raw, Edge to SmackDown, Big Show to Raw. They split up the Dudley Boys. Lesnar went to Raw. And then you just get Jericho was really low down, 13th pick for SmackDown. We got Mr. Perfect going to Raw, number 16 pick. And it just gets really down the bottom end. They split up the APA as well. Perry Saturn was the 29th SmackDown pick. This first started April 1st, 2002, and they kind of made a big deal out of Austin, which brand Austin would sign with, and he came out at the end of the show. Vince and Flair were there with the contracts, and eventually signed for Raw. Gave Vince a stunner, and Flair was like, "Oh yeah." Austin gave Flair a stunner as well, and that kind of sinks in with Backlash. So the feuds going into Backlash: Triple H and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Triple H versus Triple H. Now, I don't know why this happened. I don't know why they felt the need to put Hogan in the title picture, just because WrestleMania had gone so well. I was kind of like, wait, really? He's good? And they kind of tried to build it up. I'll get into that when I start the review of the show, but I didn't really quite. I could understand, the business point of view, like that's going to draw, seeing, Hogan was the talking point of the wrestling world at this point with WrestleMania 18, so to put him in the title picture was a big move, and a move that was going to get people talking, so why not, I guess. But at the time I was kind of like, we had Stone Cold and The Undertaker kind of feuding for the #1 contendership spot, and again I'll get into that in the review because there's a hype video. Eddie Guerrero returned to the ring. He'd been, I think he'd been released or fired in 2001. I know he's had a lot of drug issues and stuff, and he went away for a while and he came back, and this will be his final run in the company. And it was good that he did come back. It was good that he overcame his problems. You know, at least for a few years to come back and have one last great run. I think I really like the fact that he came back. I'm glad he did. We had Edge and Kurt Angle feuding, and again I'll get to that in the show review. And another big thing that happened, no pun intended, but Brock Lesnar debuted on Raw, and he came out and he was mainly squashing jobbers, well not jobbers, but like people like Spike Dudley and so on, and Rikishi was doing next to nothing at this point. And he was being managed by Paul Heyman, who was branding him as the next big thing. And he looked impressive, and it looked like one of those things where it's like, oh, this guy just looks like a big meathead who doesn't know how to wrestle and is going to be, pushed for a while and then just dropped. Because you get a lot of them. But no, Brock was a real amateur wrestler, a real talented wrestler. And this was the start of his huge 2-year run in the WWE. So we'll get to the show review. Just before we do, I've now changed the format of this video. I'm not going to put the logo there. I'm not going to do any signs at the end. I've had some messages, some feedback that people think that's unnecessary, so I'm willing to take that on board, and that's fine. And I'll just make this a straight review, just me talking to the camera and nothing else. That's just fine. So, Backlash opens with a hype video, hyping up Triple H and Hogan. Now I didn't really like this because it was like Triple H was like, I've always wanted to prove myself to Hulk Hogan. I've always wanted to see if I could beat the Immortal One. And then and Hulk Hogan's going about how Hulk's like, I want to know that I'm the best ever, past, present, or future, and the most important thing in my life right now is getting that Undisputed Championship belt. And it's like, really? At like nearly 50? Like, at this point Hogan is like, he is the, as they always like to say, the Babe Ruth of the WWE. He didn't really need to do that. I mean, obviously he's going to say that because he's in the program, and you're going to make it sound as important as possible. But again, it almost seems like Triple H saw what happened at WrestleMania with him main eventing and winning the title and not getting any of the spotlight. I think Triple H thought, right, well, I'm going to do a program with Hogan, and we're going to have the next Rock Hogan big match. And it did not turn out that way at all. Opening match, Tajiri versus Billy Kidman, who had just come back to the WWF, and he was the Cruiserweight champion. In the middle of this match, people just chanted for Tori. She was with Tajiri at the time, and she was wearing a geisha kind of outfit. There's some really good stuff in this match. There was a ridiculous spot where Billy Kidman put Tajiri in a tree of woe and did like a running kick to his head while he was upside down. He really hit him. It was mad. There was like a leapfrog into the ring, onto Billy Kidman, into a tarantula, which was, again, tarantula was like a really pointless submission move because like, you could never beat anyone with it, but it looked really cool. There was like a big what was it? Oh yeah, Tajiri did his handspring back elbow, and Billy Kidman blocked it with a drop kick. I mean, there's some really, really good stuff here. The crowd's getting really into it. Tajiri does like a German suplex into a bridge, and then he kind of flips up onto his feet and then does another bridge. It's like, I always love that. I usually saw that mostly on, No Mercy in WrestleMania 2000, but here it was in real life. Billy Kidman missed his shooting star press. He hit a set out spinebuster from the second rope. It's just like a really, really good match, and it ended with trying to think now how this would work. My notes are very vague. So it must have been Billy Kidman picked up Tajiri for a powerbomb, and Tajiri spat the green mist in his face and pinned him to win the Cruiserweight title. There's some like weird comment that the King made about Tori, but I just can't decipher it from my notes here. I made like brief bullet points, so I don't know. Michael Cole's at ringside and interviews Tajiri on his title win, and he just sort of growls in Japanese for a bit and walks off. Backstage, Bradshaw is talking to Farouk, and they're talking about how they've been split up, and it was good to see each other again after a month away on separate brands. And then the music hits and Bradshaw walks out for his match. This is Scott Hall versus Bradshaw. I guess Bradshaw was kind of having a bit of a feud with Scott Hall. Scott Hall came out with X-Pac, who is now in the NWO. Kevin Nash had left by this point. I think he had like an injury, and I don't think he was seen again for quite a while. So the NWO was now pretty much just Scott Hall and X-Pac. X-Pac had like a Kane mask on, which is weird. And there's like a weird edit to the NWO theme, like it wasn't even the NWO theme. I don't know again if this is just the DVD edits, but you know, I'm sure the NWO theme is like they own the rights to that theme. I don't know why it wasn't on the DVD, very weird. Just a note, while I was watching this, I really love the Backlash set they used to have for a few years with the swinging pylons. They look really cool. Something that JR said was that the Kane mask that X-Pac is wearing is quite frankly an improvement, and looks good on his Sure, my notes are really bad. I'm trying to note down these funny things and I just forget what they are. Anyway, Farouk comes out to kind of even the score for the match because X-Pac is just running around like getting involved in the match. You know, and Farouk and Bradshaw acting like they've been split up for like years, like it's some big reunion. It's only been like 3 weeks or something. It's a pretty boring match, to be honest, and most of it is just like punch, 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 bump, big boot, more punches, trading punches, big boot. Like, it's really boring. Back elbows, you know, these two kind of biggish guys kind of lumbering around. It was just really boring. The end of the match was X-Pac got involved. Farouk kind of slammed him into the ring post, and Scott Hall gave Bradshaw a low blow and just gave him a roll up and won. Awful match. Vince is backstage and he walks into Ric Flair's office, which is just like a desk in like a locker room. Like you can see all the, like the changing things behind him. It's really like shit. Vince says the NWO have been pretty damn impressive, and it's like, well, they haven't really. I mean, most of them are gone by now. It's only been like 2 months. Vince says he finds Flair's style impressive, and like he's intrigued that he made himself a special guest referee between the match between Austin and Taker. Vince says again, you know, he's starting to like Flair's style, and Flair says Vince doesn't know him at all, and he never will, and just kind of leaves it at that. So, you know, again, I don't know what they were doing there really. Just more tension between the two bosses, I guess. Trish versus Jazz with the women's title. Molly comes out before Jazz. She's now dyed her hair brown, and has got this kind of like pure, wholesome virgin gimmick, and she does a promo about how Trish is a slut basically, and she's just like really, you know, good and righteous and everything, and then she throws Trish into the ring steps, and Jazz comes out, beats down on Trish. There's a really good spot in this where Trish goes for a bulldog off the ropes, and Jazz kind of like just holds her up in the end, does a backdrop. It was really nicely timed, really good. And then she puts Trish in like a really rough looking STF for the win and made Trish tap out. It's a good match, good women's match. Then we have like some random interviewer who must have been hired and fired on the same night, and he asks Jazz for a comment, and Jazz just kind of stares at him and leaves, which is cool. Jazz was kind of a bit of a badass and, you know, good in the ring, so that was cool. And then we get a video package of the little feud that Brock and Lesnar have been having with the Hardys and Lita, and there's this promo where Paul Heyman is doing this sleazy promo with Lita, and he's got her panties and he's like holding them in front of her and stuff and saying, you know, what are you going to do to me and all that, and like he's like, oh, you like it rough, I like it rough, really like horrible. And then he kind of gets all her underwear out on the stage and is like, you know, pulling it out and stuff, and the Hardys run after him. Brock comes out of nowhere and gives Matt Hardy an F5 on the stage, which was mental. Pretty boring video package though. It's just like that promo and then just like the F5 and then that was it. Like it was kind of like a weird one. It was like just one you'd see on Raw, you know, like this is what happened last week. Then we get Heyman giving Brock Lesnar a pep talk backstage, just saying, you know, you're the next big thing, and it starts with a close-up with Brock's tattoo on his back, and he's like flexing his shoulder muscles, and it looks like the tattoo's moving. It was really cool. Jeff Hardy versus Brock Lesnar. Matt Hardy was gone at this point, you know, selling the injury from the F5. Brock has just got mental energy and such quick movement for a guy of his size, and he did a great job of like looking like a monster. Yet he still sold for Jeff. Like he'd still take the hits, and you know, he wouldn't fully sell them. He'd get back up straight away, just like, you know, like a monster, and you know, that kind of thing. Jeff fights back, hits a big swanton for a really good near fall, This match just made both guys look really good. I mean, Brock dominated and Jeff kept fighting back. It really put both guys over, which is really cool. Brock hits Jeff with big F5 and then just keeps doing power bombs until the ref stops the match, which again is good. It makes Jeff look like, he didn't give up, and Brock just looked like a monster for, just taking him out really. Teddy Long was the referee in this match. I was surprised he didn't just say to Lita and Paul Heyman at ringside, "Why'd you get in here and make a tag match, player?" Then we got Edge and Kurt video package. Great hype video. Just a simple build to this match. Just the idea that Edge beat Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle thinks he's the best, and he doesn't like the idea that someone beat him, basically, so he interfered in one of Edge's matches. They have a back and forth week after week. Angle hits Edge with an angle slam on the concrete. That was really harsh. Then they just decide to have a match, basically. And there's this really cool promo which is in the video package, where Edge comes up to Kurt and he's like, "Hey, I got these pictures when we used to be pretty tight," because they used to have like the Edge, Christian and Angle used to have like this little click on TV, which was really funny in 2000. And he shows Kurt Angle these pictures, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's great." And then on the card it's like, "I am a dork, I have no penis," or something like that. And he walks off, and Kurt's still looking at the pictures. He's like, "Wow, that Edge, he's not a bad guy." And then he looks at the pictures, and he's like, "Son of a bitch." So it's kind of like a good / funny build-up. And then the match itself, amazing, really good match. I mean, there's German suplexes, just loads of suplexes, loads of little spots, they're really cool. You can tell in this match why Edge has got a broken neck, because man, he used to really take those German suplexes really hard. The crowd are really into this match. They're really building up the momentum. Angle gets pissed off that he can't beat Edge. He gets the chair and he does the whole rock thing where he goes to hit Edge, and the chair hits the rope and hits him in the face. Edge grabs him from behind, does that sit-out move he used to do, pinned him for a really good near fall. Crowd are so into this. It feels like a main event match, as the crowd are into it that much. And then Angle gets him in the ankle lock. Edge rolls it through into another roll-up, another near fall. He goes for a spear, and Kurt Angle just full-on kicks him in the face and the shoulder area, and hits an angle slam for a clean win. Awesome match. Simple ending, no funny business apart from the chair thing. Awesome match, really good. I mean, it was worth buying this DVD just for that match. I mean, I collect anyway, but if I didn't, I'd get this DVD just for that match. It was really, really good. Jericho comes out and does a promo in the ring, bitching about how he's not on the card. He's like, Billy Kidman's on the card, Maven's on the card, Trish has got a match, but Jericho doesn't. I was main event in WrestleMania. And, it's true. I don't know why Jericho wasn't on this card, why they couldn't have made some spot for him. It's good that they made him do this promo and it gets him heat and stuff, but he kind of just ended it by saying, "Oh, well, if you guys don't like me, I guess I'll just leave." And then he leaves. But we'll talk about Jericho a bit more at the end. Now we have another Flair promo. He's in his office with Arn Anderson with his referee shirt on ready. Taker comes in, just stares him down, and then leaves. Pretty pointless really, but I guess it just adds a bit of tension to the upcoming match. But before that we have Eddie Guerrero versus RVD for the Intercontinental title, which RVD won at WrestleMania. Awesome match. Some really good stuff, as you could expect from these two guys, really athletic. Eddie does like a sunset flip powerbomb off the top rope on RVD and just pure kills him with it, and then wins with a huge frog splash, and that was great. And it was really awesome to see Eddie back, and a great match to start it off with, and he won the Intercontinental title, which was cool. Then we have video package for Austin and Taker. Again, Austin signed in for Raw and everything that I talked about earlier. Stunning Ric Flair, so Flair's a bit pissed off with him. And Undertaker is saying to Flair, "You should give me a title shot." And then Austin said, "Well, you should give me a title shot." So Flair makes a tournament. It's Taker and RVD, Stone Cold and Scott Hall on Raw. And I used to love this when they used to do this on Raw, just like a 4-man little mini tournament. I used to love those things. They're really cool, and I just love that. I love those little setups they used to do back in the day. So of course, Austin and Taker won, and Flair decided he'd make himself the referee for the match. And so it's for the #1 contendership. Undertaker comes out, and again, awful music. Rolling has been deleted in this dun 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 dun, just like this awful like stock rock track for Taker. It's just awful. Austin comes out. The start of this match is great. I remember reading this match wasn't very good, and well, we'll get to that. But it started out really good, just like lots of tension and just really slowly building it up, and Austin kind of like teases the test of strength, and he just goes like that to Taker, and Taker's like, ah, fuck, you know. And the thing I liked about Taker when he wasn't the kind of the phenom gimmick, he could show a lot more character and a lot more you know, facial expressions and stuff, and you know, that characterisms. Just, you know, he could be more human and sell things more. Lots of brawling in this match. Austin starts whipping out arm drags and stuff. It's really cool. But then it's kind of like sort of slows down. Scott Hall and X-Pac come down and just kind of watch from the ramp, and it just kind of slowed down. It was just brawling, and it got a bit boring. Went on a bit too long, and then you get into the near falls, and you know, they were good, and the crowd were into them, but it just didn't seem right. It just seemed really routine, and you know, the opening was so good, and it just kind of slowed down. I didn't really like it. And then the finish, I've just put here anticlimactic lame finish, and I can't even remember what it was. Thinking about it, I know NWO didn't get involved. I'm trying to think now what it was. Well, that's just shit, isn't it? Oh, that's right. Okay. There was a chair. There was a chair there. I think Taker booted it into Austin's face, pinned Austin. Austin got his leg on the rope. Flair counted it but didn't see the leg, and then once he counted the 3, Taker just pulled the leg away so Flair didn't see it. Flair's won. Dodgy finish, anticlimactic. NWO didn't get involved, not that I wanted them to, but like, it just seemed like, yeah. And then really funny bit, Flair's walking backstage with his ref shirt, and Coachman's like, hey Flair, how do you think that match went? And Flair's like, oh yeah, it went fine. He's like, just watch this TV screen now and you'll see how the ending really, you know, went down. And he shows Flair the footage of Austin with his leg on the rope, and Flair just goes, shit. Just walks off. Fucking brilliant, I love it. The semi-main event is Billy and Chuck defending their tag titles against Maven and Al Snow. This was a generic tag match. Maven still looked pretty green here, actually. Al Snow kind of, I mean, I say that because there's a spot where basically Maven whips Billy off the ropes and goes down for a back body drop, and Billy Gunn just does his famous move, and Maven just ducked down like too soon, so he was just stood there like that, bent over. It just looked really like he was going through the motions, and the match was okay. Main event, Hogan and Triple H. Now this is the big video package. Talking about how Vince is booking this match for the people, what the people want to see. Hogan talks about WrestleMania 3 again. This is what all these things do. At WrestleMania 3, when I slammed Andre the Giant over my head and dropped the legs, like he bring it up every week. And like he gets in front of Triple H and he's like, and just like flexes his muscles, just like, and Triple H is like, like so over the top macho bullshit. Ugh. And Hogan saying it's the most important thing to him in the world to win the title and complete his journey. And Triple H says, Hogan, you're not an icon, you're not immortal, you're just an obstacle, and I'm going to have to destroy a part of my childhood. I like that line. And then, but again, it's just them two just like, like, oh man, it's just like, really like, ugh. Anyway, Hogan comes out to the Jimi Hendrix song Voodoo Child, which is awesome. And Triple H comes out. This is actually the arena where Owen Hart died, I believe. And I honestly would have thought, you know, maybe they should not run shows in there anymore, out of respect, but there you go. So, Hogan and Triple H. It was good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. The crowd were not into it as much as I think Triple H would have hoped. Most of the match, Triple H was kind of going after his legs. You know, and that worked. You know, as far as the psychology of the match, you know, Triple H going for Hogan's leg made sense. The opening was kind of like the opening of Rock and Hogan, where they tie up and they try and push each other off, see who's the strongest. And Triple H kind of wins off a bit. Hogan wins off a bit and does the whole flexing. And then they do a test of strength. Hogan beats Triple H a bit, and then Triple H powers him down, gets Hogan on his knees, and he's like, it's like so over the top. It's like a cartoon. I had to rewind it and show my girlfriend. I was just like, look at this. Triple H is just like, just like, look how big my muscles are. It's just like, it's so, it's funny, but like kind of cringeworthy at the same time. Just Triple H is so over the top in this. But then he kind of calms down a bit and he goes works up the leg and stuff, and then they go towards the end of the match, and you know, stuff happens. Jericho comes down and he hits Hogan with a chair. You know, I can't even remember what I should have kept notes on this, but I was just like, you know, it doesn't really matter, does it? But you know, Jericho comes down to interfere, and then Triple H knocks him down and throws him out the ring, I think. And then a referee gets knocked down for like the third time, and then Undertaker comes down and takes out Triple H. And I think Hogan takes a pedigree or something, and then starts hulking up, and it was a mess, really. The ending is just like, more interferences, and you know, I guess it made it more interesting than just a straight ending, because the match wasn't going that great to begin with. And then we had, I apologise for this, I haven't really kept good notes of this because I'm almost making it up as I go along here, but I do remember that Hogan fended off Taker and then booted down Triple H and went for the leg drop then, and that was it, 1, 2, 3. Hogan is the new undisputed champion. And this year was kind of a year where the championship really just jumped around a lot. And this was another one of them. I guess they just wanted to give Hogan this moment where it was like, you know, you're a legend, you came back, we appreciate this, and here's like your Oscar, you know. And they did this again once more in 2002, and it was a lot more meaningful. And I think you know what I'm talking about, and we'll get to that in a few episodes, I think. But yeah, this was, I don't know why they did it. I think they built up this whole thing with Triple H and then they just knocked it down. That being said, you know, I was never really the biggest fan of Triple H. And wasn't really too bothered either way if he was the champion or not. But I just thought Hulk Hogan really, I mean, he's not going to wrestle on every show. He's not going to be at the house shows. You know, that's the reason why Shawn Michaels never wanted to be the world champion, you know, in his comeback run. You know, because he knew that he's never going to be at every house show, and he believed that the champion should be. So, you know. But it was a nice moment for Hogan, and yeah, everyone was going wild and everything, and Hulkamania's alive again. And Triple H, who'd been busted open, kind of walked up to Hogan at the end, and he was like, just get a video, watch it. I'll try and get a link up here somewhere. But he was just like, when he held out his hand and they shaked hands, and Hogan was like, you know, yeah. It was just like, I think Triple H really wanted it to be like that Rock Hogan moment, and it just wasn't at all. And Triple H left and kind of looked out for The Undertaker. So that was kind of cool that they just kind of, I don't know what they did the next night on Raw, but they just kind of dealt with all that straight away. Triple H is after The Undertaker now, and Hogan's with the belt, you know. But yeah, overall, it was an okay event. Well, no, it was a really good one. I think it was a really good one. I mean, you had two really, really good matches. Edge, Kurt Angle, RVD, Eddie Guerrero. The Cruiserweight match was really good. It was a solid event, and you know, the main event was good. You know, it's worth watching. One bad thing was that this DVD, the sound kind of went out of sync during Austin and Undertaker. Alright. Someone's just being killed. Yeah, the sound went out of sync during Austin and Undertaker, and throughout the main event it was just off by a second, so it was really distracting for me. So I didn't enjoy it as much, but yeah. So I'll just show you the DVD now then, and we'll finish up. Okay, so here's the DVD for Backlash. We've got Triple H here on the cover, just dark background, really cool. One man's journey to stand alone. Okay. This has WWE on the cover, even though this was still a WWF event, and the logos are still on the shirt and stuff. Back cover there, just the match listings, some of the extras, and just some of the stuff that with the show. Pretty cool back cover. Kind of bland, but does the job. And the disc is just the same as the front cover, basically. I haven't got the insert for this one, but there you go. Now the extras themselves, we have like a little video package on Brock Lesnar's Impact, which is pretty cool. It shows the kind of little feud he had with Jeff and Matt Hardy, where at one point he took like 3 full-on chair shots to the head and just kind of jumped out of the ring just like snarling. Really put him over as a monster. We've got an interview with Trish Stratus where Jerry Lawler just looks at her tits the whole time and is like, how do you think the power of the puppies is going to help you in this match? And it's just like,
awful. There's a few things on the Dudley Boys having a little reunion, where Devon has now kind of taken on this religious gimmick. He's now Brother Devon, and he meets Bubba backstage, and Bubba just kind of says, you know, what you doing, basically. Just has a go at him, and Devon's a bit miffed. And then we have just like normal backstage interviews. Al Snow and Maven, there's an interview with those two, and it's in 2 parts for some reason, even though they're only like 2 minutes long. It's just weird. You know, pretty throwaway stuff really. Al Snow and Maven. Al Snow's trying to be funny and just isn't really. Then we have Bubba Ray, just kind of a really funny interview with Bubba Ray, where he's talking about the hardcore title and he has to defend it any time. He just walks up to this random like stagehand who's just sitting there and just like, what are you looking at? That was really cool. And yeah, just a few interviews and stuff really on this DVD. Nothing much. There's Billy Kidman talking about how cool it is to be back in the WWF and stuff. Apart from that, it's pretty standard stuff. I'd give the DVD itself a 4 out of 10, and the event itself, I'd say a 7 out of 10. A really good undercard and midcard, but the main event kind of stuff was just okay. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for the event, 4 out of 10 for the DVD. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.